I always hit the way station on I-70 just to stretch my legs, but tonight the scale lights flickered on like they were waiting for me alone. It was pushing midnight, the Missouri stretch between Columbia and Kingdom City turning into a black ribbon under a moonless sky where the air hung heavy with the scent of wet asphalt and distant rain. I'm Mike, a long-haul trucker clocking miles for over a decade, hauling produce from coast to coast in my beat-up Kenworth, the kind of rig that groans like an old friend. My eyes stung from the glare of oncoming high beams, and my back ached from 14 hours straight, but I spotted the old way station sign ahead, faded, overgrown with vines, supposedly shut down years back after some budget cuts or whatever. Rumours floated among us drivers about why it really closed. Ghostly knocks, lights flipping on, inspectors who weren't there. I shook it off as road law, pulled off anyway for a quick piss and coffee from my thermos. The lot was empty, gravel crunching under my tyres like brittle bones, and as I idled, a faint bang echoed against my door, like a fist rapping for entry. Who the hell was out here? I rolled down the window, the chill night air rushing in with a whisper of rustling leaves, but no one stood there, just shadows dancing from my headlights. Shrugging, I hopped out, boots hitting the ground with a thud, and walked toward the dim building, its windows like dark eyes staring back. The scale platform loomed silent, rusted, but oddly, a single bulb hummed to life above the inspection booth, casting a yellow glow that smelled faintly of ozone and dust. I glanced at my dash. My way ticket from the last stop crinkled there, dated today. But as I picked it up, the ink seemed to shift, the date blurring to something older, 1864. What kind of trick was the light playing? I stuffed it in my pocket and headed inside the abandoned office for shelter from the drizzle starting to patter. The door creaked open without a lock, revealing peeling wallpaper and scattered papers, the air thick with mildew and something sharper, like gunpowder. A desk sat in the corner, drawers ajar, and on it lay another way ticket, identical to mine, but yellowed, stamped with that same impossible date. My heart skipped. I picked it up, fingers tingling as if static charged, and voices murmured low, like radio static from afar. Was someone else here after all? The murmurs grew, not words, but echoes, commands, shouts, the clatter of hooves on stone, and I spun toward the window, seeing figures in the fog outside, uniformed, moving like inspectors checking rigs that weren't there. I blinked hard, rubbing my eyes. Fatigue, that's all. The road playing games after too many Red Bulls. But the way ticket in my hand felt heavier now, pulling me back to that night 5 years ago, when I dozed at the wheel near here, clipping a sedan and sending a family off the road. Guilt I'd buried under miles, but it clawed up now, tasting like bile. I dropped the ticket, stepping out to clear my head, the drizzle soaking my flannel. The scale light buzzed brighter, illuminating a silhouette at the booth, a man in an outdated uniform, badge glinting, waving me over like routine. Why did his eyes look hollow, like pits in the glow? I approached cautiously, the gravel shifting underfoot as if the ground breathed, the air growing colder, my breath fogging despite the mild night. "Evening, officer," I called, voice steadier than I felt, but he didn't respond, just pointed to the scale with a gloved hand that seemed translucent in the light. I climbed back into my cab, easing the truck onto the platform. The needle swung wild, numbers flashing erratically, far beyond my load's weight. The inspector, or whatever he was, nodded, scribbling on a pad, then banged on my door again, that same insistent rap. I cracked it open and he handed me a ticket, fingers brushing mine with an icy jolt that shot up my arm. The paper read overloaded, but the date, 1864 again, and scrawled below, contraband. My mind reeled. Civil War era. This stretch of I-70 cut through old battlefields, I'd heard. Lone Jack nearby where Union soldiers patrolled supply lines. Was this some reenactor prank? But his face, up close, was gaunt, bearded, eyes reflecting no light. I muttered thanks and pulled away, heart hammering, but in the rear view, he vanished like smoke. What if the overload wasn't my cargo, but something else weighing me down? Shaken, I merged back onto I-70, the highway empty save for distant taillights, the rain picking up to a steady drum on my roof. I cranked the heat, sipping thermos coffee that tasted metallic now, like old pennies. The way ticket sat on the passenger seat, recurring like a bad omen. I'd tossed the first, but here it was again, or another just like it. Miles ticked by, the fog thickening, and guilt surged anew. That accident, the sedan flipping, sirens wailing as I woke to horror. The kid in the back hadn't made it. His face haunted my dreams, a weight I carried heavier than any load. Ahead, a rest area sign glowed, lit, welcoming, with a few rigs parked under floodlights. I pulled in, seeking safety in numbers, chatting with a burly driver named Earl over smokes. "Heard about that old way station?" I asked casually. He chuckled. "Ghost stories, man." Truckers see inspectors from the war days banging doors, checking for rebel gear. We laughed it off, the camaraderie easing my nerves, floodlights banishing shadows. Back in my sleeper berth, I lay down, ticket tucked away, feeling secure amid the hum of idling engines. But why did a faint bang echo against my door again in this bright oasis? I jolted up, peering out. No one, just rain-slick pavement reflecting lights. The bang came again, louder, rhythmic, like a demand. Heart racing, I grabbed my flashlight, stepping out into the downpour, beam cutting through fog. Footprints led from my truck toward the woods edging the lot, muddy, boot-shaped, but fading as I watched, dissolving into puddles. The way ticket fluttered from my pocket, landing face up. Now it bore my name, and below, guilty. Sanity cracked. Was I dreaming this? The road's isolation twisting my mind? I questioned everything, the accident. Had I really walked away unscathed, or was this purgatory? Voices murmured again, closer, spectral commands to halt, inspect. I ran back to the cab, slamming the door, but the locks clicked on their own. How had the ticket returned, multiplying like accusations? Engine roaring, I peeled out of the rest area, tires hydroplaning on wet asphalt, the fog swallowing taillights behind. The radio crackled to life unbidden, static laced with old-timey voices. Halt for inspection, then died. Ahead, brake lights flared, traffic slowed for construction, orange cones glowing like eyes. I gripped the wheel, sweat beading, the way ticket now stuck to the dash as if glued. Memories flooded. Post-accident, I'd found a Civil War-era coin at the crash site, pocketed it absent-mindedly, guilt's talisman. But no, that was coincidence. The fog parted briefly, revealing the old way station again. Impossible. I'd passed it hours ago. Lights on full, figures swarming the scale like busy inspectors. Was the highway looping, trapping me? I swerved off at the next exit, a rural road winding through dark fields, cornstalks whispering secrets in the wind. My phone had no signal, GPS glitching to show me back at the station. Panting, I stopped under a lone street lamp, its buzz mimicking the scale's hum. The false safety of the light calmed me momentarily. I'd call for help once bars appeared, but the bang resumed, shaking the truck, and in the mirror, a face pressed against the rear window, hollow-eyed, bearded, the inspector from before. What if he wasn't inspecting trucks, but souls? Terror peaked as the door flew open, cold wind howling in with rain. The inspector's form materializing in the cab, hand outstretched for the ticket. "Overloaded," he rasped, voice like gravel over bone. Badge reading Union Patrol, 1864. I screamed, thrusting the ticket at him, but it dissolved into dust, revealing the coin from the accident, engraved with a soldier's name, lost in that long-ago war. Guilt crystallized. The crash site was atop old battlefield graves disturbed by the highway. My accident stirred them, or perhaps I hadn't survived it, this endless loop my penance. The figure lunged, icy grip on my throat, and the truck lurched forward on its own, speeding toward a ravine. Brakes failed, world tilting, but in the chaos, I saw the truth. The inspectors weren't ghosts of war, but echoes of my victims. The family reframed as patrols judging my fatigue, my crime. Impact came with a deafening crash, pain blooming, then darkness. I woke in a hospital bed near Kingdom City, monitors beeping, nurses murmuring about my rig found wrecked off I-70. No explanation for the loop I described. They called it hallucination from head trauma, but in my pocket, the way ticket lingered, dated today, or was it 1864? With one word, cleared. Yet bangs echo in quiet moments. Lights flicker unexplained. What if clearance means I'm next to inspect? If you made it this far, you're braver than most. But some stories don't end when the telling stops. So stay curious, but stay safe, and maybe keep the lights on tonight.